number 2. I did not know that there was a time limit on my other video, so it just like cut off right in the middle, so I'm sorry about that. But what I was saying at the end of that video is that I've shown you the 4 different examples of what could happen. And this first one was where all 3 were the same. The limits from the left and the right match the function value. What is that called? When all 3 are the same, these graphs are continuous. So I could say that this graph is continuous at x equals 2 because all 3 are the same. Now, when you're testing continuity, you can only test at one x value at a time. We only tested at x equals 2. So the function value and the limits from the left and the right were all the same. So at that value, it's continuous. That's not necessarily true for all of the values because I could test somewhere else and something else different could be happening. But when all 3 are the same, that is continuous. The next example was where the limit from the left and the right matched, but it was different than the function value. Now, in this case, the function value is undefined, but it doesn't necessarily have to be undefined. It could be anything else, just not 6. So if your limits from the left and the right match, but they don't match your function value, we call that a point discontinuity. So it's going to have a point discontinuity at x equals 3. Now, again, this is only happening at this x value of x equals 3 because that's all we tested. If I would test this x value over here, -5, it actually would end up being continuous because the function from the limits from the left and the right would be the same as the function value. So this is just at x equals 3, has a point discontinuity. The next example is when your limits from the left and the right don't match. When they don't match, and it actually doesn't matter what your function value is. Your function value could match one of them, or it could be totally something different. What matters is the limits from the left and the right don't match. If they don't match, then that is called a jump discontinuity. And that's at, again, the x value that we tested, which would be 0. So this one has a jump discontinuity at x equals 0. It jumps from one value to the other. And finally, and this is usually the one everybody remembers, it's when either of your limits equal infinity. Now, it doesn't matter if they match or if they don't match. They could both be infinity. They could both be negative infinity. If infinity is involved, then it's called an infinite discontinuity. And again, that's just at the x value that you tested. Okay? So it's an infinite discontinuity at x equals 0. So these 4 things, infinite, jump, point, and continuous, those are the only 4 possibilities that you could have. So when we're talking about continuity and I ask you to test for continuity, it's going to be one of these 4. It's either going to be continuous, or all 3 match. It's going to be point discontinuity, where you're just not continuous at a point. It's going to be jump discontinuity, where it jumps from one value to another, so the limits are different from the left and the right. Or it's going to be infinite, where one of your limits is infinity. Now, one of your limits could be infinity, and the other one could be a number, like it could be a 4 or something like that, and this one could be infinity. It's still infinite discontinuity. So anytime there's infinity involved, it's infinite discontinuity. Okay, I'm sorry that that first video got cut off because it was a little too long for the program. I am going to do another video for the rest of the notes. It's really just going through examples of the different things that are happening, and it's all different kind of x values and stuff like that. So it's a lot more practice, but I wanted to just give you the notes first, and then you can go on and do the rest of the slides with the practice. If you have any questions, you can show up at those office hours. I'll be online from 10 to 11 or from 2 to 3 every day. So you can come on and ask any questions. You can email me. You can write comments on the classroom. However you want to get a hold of me, you can just let me know. You can watch this video again. Whatever you need, I will be here to answer any of your questions.